Summarized.
Did you have an extra one of these, or did you give me one last night and I just lost it?
I didn't give you one now.
I didn't see you.
Oh, okay. I was gonna give this extra one to her.
Well, I can make a copy.
Yeah, have it make a copy.
Okay.
You need to get ready to start.
It's a scrap sheet I came out of.
So I'll show you on my phone. So I logged in the box code, and I was gonna set that up to just remember my password. Then I go to dashboard, go to menu. And these are our. So I go in edit. So here, I go to view. There's a stop, and that's what I'll hit. And that's all there is.
Yeah, you can get that one set up, some point before next time.
We'll figure it out.
I think we're hot.
Probably not, they're saying, well, I'm buying it, but just the owner is the one financing it for me. As opposed to.
You said we're broadcasting that.
Contract for you as a rental will probably end. So, is there a concern about the state or something like that?
Somebody else here?
That's where Tricia was sitting, she can go over one.
Yeah.
I like I didn't see her. That or she'll take you up and throw you, I don't know.
She could pick me up.
You know what I mean? That was already
We'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Emmerich.
Here.
Maxheimer.
Yes.
Neville.
Here.
Phillips.
Yep.
Stock.
Here.
Say the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recognition of guests, we have Mr. Steve Schaefer and Dan. Ron, we got the, sorry about that. They're here from MR Systems Wireless, that everybody received their quotation in the box. They are actually on the agenda to be, for an action item to be taken on their proposal. So after if you guys wanted, if you could just give me a little spiel about what you told me and Tim that night as far as what we're looking at. We're trying to get Wi-Fi in Square. You said around 250 people is what we told you we wanted the workload to be. I guess, could you just explain it a little bit better of how you're going to do it?
I'll give you guys.
The floor is yours, sir.
I'll just give you guys the rooftop level of it. Basically, it's just an industry standard Wi-Fi setup. The equipment that we're using is ubiquitous. Most of you, if you know anything about wireless, probably know that name. It's a system that will allow you, at very low cost, to install your own controller software so you can control the Wi-Fi system itself once it's installed, once the hardware is installed. And you can have guest networks, you can have what we call walled gardens, meaning that you could pay or have paid service Wi-Fi out there if you wanted it. More importantly, the hardware working with that software will allow for the components we're gonna put out there on your square to share the load. Meaning, you talked about 250 people. Well, the kind of equipment to have one thing to have 250 people on is very expensive. So it's a distributed system, so it allows for each of these guys to share the load off people's cell phones, tablets, or whatever. But again, you can set up permanent Wi-Fi, so meaning if you wanted to use it for businesses or just have a permanent Wi-Fi out there, you can, as well as concurrently running guest networks, which you could set up for allowing people to come in and use sometimes, or for a couple hours, and then it stops, or however you want to configure it. But pretty much it's, I'm not gonna explain Wi-Fi, if I have to do that, we're probably in the wrong meeting, but I think everyone gets the idea there. But as you guys talked about, limiting bandwidth, so you have one pipe out of there, this whole Wi-Fi system ties into one garden hose to the internet. You can take your guest networks and you can strap it saying they can only use this much of it and it'll never use any more than that, or you can do it by person, however you wanna do it. But part of that in there was for us to install that controller, and then whoever's gonna manage it, show them how to do that. And then of course, we're gonna be around for a while. We're setting up on the tower across the street, so we'll be here if you have any questions on it.
And is there a monthly fee that comes with this?
No, not unless I'm in town and then happy hour, but other than that, there's no fees. That's a joke.
If you have a problem that you can't handle and you call us, then there will be a fee for, fixing it. But when we turn it over, it'll be up and working and ready for you to use.
Where will the main internet connection come from?
The new tower over at the bank,
Through your system?
yes.
What kind of, you said you can limit the speed, and what kind of speeds are they, like the high and lows?
Well,
It's a
depending on
pretty wide
how
range.
much you buy, how much you
It's
want,
all based
then
on
you,
that.
you take it out from there. So if you bought a 10 meg pack or a 20 meg package, whatever. What we have done in the past is, when we work with municipalities especially, or churches, we always give you guys a better deal than we do just business or residential,
Right.
for obvious reasons. But however much pipe you get will help you divide that if you want to use some of it for just internal networking, in this office, for example, and then take the rest of it and use it for Wi-Fi, and then take that and further subdivide it out, however you want to do it. We'll help
And
set it
the
up.
package that we buy or whatever, that one we will pay per month?
Yes.
Okay, how much is that a month, like?
Depends on which package you want. We have them anywhere from $48 up to $300 a month. Now, there are no contracts. We don't do contracts. If we're horrible, you kick us off. If we do great, you keep paying us. So you won't be locked into anything for long term.
The main connection that goes to this system, what is that? Is that through wireless?
Yes, we have 5 fiber drops, and then we bring all of those wireless to the rural. The closest actual fiber drop, I think, here is Atlanta. But yeah, we do fiber on the back end, then all wireless through the air.
And at some point, if we do kick you off for whatever reason, if we were to switch our system, is it compatible with?
The Wi-Fi system?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Wi-Fi is just, like I said, it's industry standard. It works with any back end. It can be wired, wireless, doesn't matter.
From our standpoint, all that we need from you is you have 110 to all your street lamps inside on the square. We would need 8 points of contact to cover the square completely. And that's nothing more than it mounts on the light post, plugs into 110 and hooks onto our unit. And all the units talk to each other, so we don't have to wire anything on the square.
And do we have that on our?
I'll have to look at that. I know we have, that capability with our power boxes that we use for festivals and whatnot. I do believe several of the corners actually have a 110 outlet on them. I think it was from the days of the Christmas lighting, and I'm pretty sure, and the Christmas lighting we had. I'm pretty confident that that's a doable thing though.
Because what did we do on the Christmas time, like this year, didn't they put up new lights this year?
Yeah, and that was all ran off 110, but those were on the corners too. It wasn't, I don't know for sure about
Yeah,
the
I
ones in
don't
between.
remember where they were.
Yeah, on the corners. but, you know, I'm
And
sure
we're
that's a
looking
doable
at,
thing.
on each corner, you have, like in the northeast corner, you have one pole that would be facing east and one north, and we mount on each one of those, the same thing.
So you get your 8 off 4 corners.
Yes.
Then we should be plenty sufficient then.
Could you run them off the same pole? Like if only one pole in the corner had 110 and the other one didn't, could you just like mount them off the side of the pole, or is it better?
You can,
You know,
there will be
levels
some
or-
impact to that, but yes, you can. So what we, when we lay it out, we do what's called an RF map. Part of the considerations that we take into account, and I think I explained this one earlier, was not necessarily the structure that you're mounting to, but the structures around it.
Right.
For example, all metal water tower, all brick buildings. But the biggest consideration there would be human bodies. So when you do have a festival and you have a lot of people gathered in one area, the signal doesn't bounce off of us, it actually goes in us and goes into the board. And so when you have a large concentration of people, you have to have them separated, because the closer those antennas are to each other, the more they'll back off to not interfere with each other, and then the signal is ate by a lot of people, now you really have no signal. So you keep them apart so they don't have that first
Right.
roadblock. But it can be done, yes, but we'll just adjust as it goes.
And what kind of distance are you talking for, as far as being able to connect to it?
Well, the way we're setting it up now, you'd probably be anywhere walking around the square, you would connect easily. And when I say walking around the square, I mean if you're on this side of it,
Right.
and you're walking the sidewalks, you would connect just fine. In fact, most of them, I thought were older glass from what I saw, most of them will connect through the glass just fine. If you have any newer windows, that's, any gas inside of them, that's where you get into issues connecting through glass.
What kind of realistic speed would you expect if we have it full blast, let's say? Since it's wireless coming in here and all that,
The wireless pipe I would bring into here right out of the gate would probably be 200 or 300 meg pipe.
Okay.
When I say it's 200, 300 meg pipe, that's what speed comes through there.
So it's about comparable to what other services are.
Yeah, should be faster, there's not as much latency, because we go directly from fiber, what's called air fiber.
Okay.
And so it's more expensive equipment, but you don't have, and what I mean by latency is you can get a 4 megabyte download here and a 4 megabyte download here. One's wired, one's wireless. The wireless, if you use that type of equipment, it's actually faster than the wired. The wired doesn't take into account because there's no need for it.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and we do both, but the wireless is faster on that.
Any other questions?
Is there what would be a normal amount that a township our size would usually purchase per month? Do you know? Is there?
That's an easy one to answer. Just start with the base package, and if you need to move up, we just move you up right there on the fly.
Any idea what that is? What that costs?
The cost, I think it's 51 and 52.
Base
for the
of-
face business.
52 a month
I don't usually work that
for a
side,
4
I'm
meg
sorry.
package.
That's all right.
But if you guys are on there, we can actually tell you how much you're using. We can see it. So
Okay.
if you're maxing out, then we'll tell you need to go to the next one up, and then the girls on the phone can actually just bump you up right there.
What happens if you reach the limit? Is it just, there's like an increased fee, or like for that month?
No, there's no cap.
Like,
So
okay.
if we give you a 4 meg speed package, you can use that to your heart's content. There's no cap on
Would you
how
actually pay the
much.
usage?
No.
Okay.
We just watch how much you're using. So a lot of times, especially with kids, folks with kids that game a lot,
Mhm.
will call us and say, my internet's really slow. We'll log in and they'll have a 6 or an 8 meg package. They're literally pushing 6 to 8, and there's no breathing room. It's not even going down. It's just solid. And usually it's Xbox, but so we can just, the girls can log in, look at it. If you guys say you need more, you think you need more, we can log in and actually show you a history, so we can log it for a month and then send you a report that says, here's what you used.
Right.
So you can see it.
And then you said we can limit or adjust the, basic availability.
To the Wi-Fi users, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
To a certain,
Yeah.
to a certain group, so you don't want everybody sitting up here streaming movies.
Right.
During
One
a
of the-
festival, we can dumb it down to.
The one biggest concerns for me on that, and this is a personal thing, you guys take your own approach, but I explained this in our first meeting we had. When you offer free Wi-Fi, there are and you have an attorney here, and I'm sure he'll let you know this part, there are some legal considerations you have to do. So for example, if you have children out there surfing your free Wi-Fi and there's porn, so that's one. Two, if they're using that to hack your systems to gain private information or hospitals or whatever, then you have HIPAA and then other things come into play on that. So you would want on your controller to block those types of things. And I would highly encourage that. I would knock them off just for being kids and surfing porn, and I have. I don't even care if they did anything wrong, but that's one of those things as a group of people, you have to decide what the rules are gonna be. But we'll certainly help you get that set up.
How do we manage, like, somebody that lives in an apartment right above here, they connect to this and get rid of Comcast and they use this internet and
That's
hog
an
it
easy
all?
one. That actually happens almost every single time, and it will happen.
Almost every single time.
So what you do, you will see who is connected, how long they're connected, you'll know who that person is, and you can actually just say, you know, it stops working at 5 o'clock for that person. You just get right on the controller, you'll see it. It doesn't just show you when they're on, it shows you when they connect, when they disconnect, and keeps a total history of all of that. It's very nice software, and it's free. That doesn't happen very often.
To be clear, we won't know who it is, right? We'll just know what the MAC address is.
Well,
Their
no, not
device.
necessarily, because if they, like, a lot of people tend to, they feel really techie when they put their own personal message, like my computer name is, you know, I don't know, Bad Dog, whatever. There's, a lot of times they'll use their actual name on their routers, which is most likely the device you're gonna see connecting. So, I don't know if you'll know who they are, but chances are, if it's a small town like this, you probably will.
You shut them off, I'll call.
Wi-Fi's not working.
Yeah.
Or just have Comcast send you a cancellation list every month to know who called, so. You know who's on your list. But anyway, we'll help you guys get that set up, and if you have some questions, we're easy to work with. I don't bill you every time you stop and talk to me. So, we're gonna be over here a lot in the beginning, getting that tower set up over there, and, if you have some extra questions beyond this, we'll help you out.
You're gonna set up base on the tower over there?
So, I like the way that sounds, makes me think I'm back in the court.
I mean,
Yes, we're gonna set up base on the tower, and literally at the
do you
base of
have,
the tower.
do you have to pay for that?
Did we? Yeah,
Yes.
costing me some bandwidth, yeah.
We've signed the contract with them and we're ready to start building. We're finishing out a couple other towers and we'll be over here working.
Was there any desire to put your equipment on top of the water tower?
Yeah, I love, as long as you let me repel it, yeah. I don't have a need to
Well,
repel it, I
that-
just love to do it.
Will that waive our monthly internet fee?
It would actually, but here's the thing on that though, there may be some, structure that we need to mount up there.
We have, when we repainted the tower, we specifically put 4 poles up there. You can mount whatever you need up there. We have,
Nice,
That would be nice.
it would be nice.
and that'll be a win for us and a win for you.
I like the way you think, yeah. And can I repel it?
You signed the waiver, right?
Yeah, check with the attorney.
Only during happy hour. No. I restrict you from doing that.
I have done that.
We are both certified through the upper limits in Bloomington to do the repelling, because on towers, when we have to put conduit down, that's the way we get it down and strapped in place. So we are a working repelling. We both like repelling.
I like skydiving. People frown on base jumping off water towers, so we repel. You know, I met them halfway in the middle. But yes, we can certainly come to that arrangement. I have no problem with that. We had talked about that in the first meeting. We didn't, you know, talk about any final points, just that that's an option we are certainly interested in. Now, I can't serve Wi-Fi off of that because it is a round metal bowl, so it won't go down. So that Wi-Fi
Understood.
still has to be here.
I just wanna offset our monthly data fee.
Yep. Yep, we can do that. Most of the towns that, well, all of the towns where we're on the water tower, the city office actually gets free Wi-Fi, or free internet, I should say. So, yeah. And then what we will do is, also, and this is more for you, is, give you a $1 million per location. In this case, you only have one water tower, so it'll be 1 million, and you'll be listed as the co-insured on it. 1 million in liability. So, that includes me dying if I repel too.
Just throwing that out there.
Any other questions? Now, I did not, and this can be up for discussion as well, I did not put that under the business district appropriation, but after listening to them, I think that we can use some of the business district money for this. I believe it fits in our plan of improving the quality of life. That's also up for discussion as well. Or we pay for the equipment, you know, right now out of the general and walk away from it. Or we sit on it for 2 weeks and wait to see if we have any more questions and approve it at the next meeting.
I'm in favor of going forward. I think the question of how we pay for it is maybe to be determined.
Okay.
I don't know if we would have like the advisory board,
We
see,
could.
you know, have them make the recommendation that we use the business district money or
Right.
not.
Well, it's not like we're gonna get the bill immediately, correct? We'll have some time to decide exactly what funds we wanna use it from. There should be enough, no matter which one we want to use.
We won't bill you until it's done, and then you'll have a net 30 on it anyway. That's fine.
I'll entertain a motion to accept this quotation and give them our Systems Wireless to go ahead to begin their work.
I would make such motion.
I'll second.
Second? Roll call, please.
Alderman Emmerich,
Yes.
Maxheimer,
Yes.
Neville,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Smock.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming, and looking forward to working with you.
If you have any other questions, give us a call, you got my number and everything, we'll, work as close as we can.
Will do. Thanks for coming again.
Appreciate it.
Approval of consent agenda, which includes the minutes and the claims and accounts.
AEP Energy, $2,658.93. Ameren, $1,955.51. Altifer, $518.41. Blue Cross Blue Shield, $3,602.75. Casey's Business MasterCard, $1,320.69. Cargill, $1,641.68. Erickson Davis Attorneys, $745. Hydrokinetics, $642.15. INB, $6,560.09. Lee Hansen, $1,258.49. Logan County Economic, $3,000. Midwest Meter, $1,320. Midstate Overhead Doors, $708.50.
Matt, the hydrokinetics for 642, what was that about?
Just for repair at lift station 4.
Anything major?
Pardon?
Anything major?
No.
It's all fixed now?
Yes. Lift station 4, not lift station 3, lift station 4. Yeah.
Any questions on the claims and accounts? I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second by Mr. Smock. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Is there any public comments on the agenda items? Officer reports. Tony?
I don't know a whole lot to report right now, everything's going still pretty good, so can't think of anything at the moment.
Matt?
A couple things. I talked with Lee from Alamo Grunlow today about our main extension out to Heron Fertilizer, and it's, hopefully if the weather permits, it'll be beginning that process next week. So hopefully Mother Nature can give us a dry spell, it'll be
We get the
great.
easement from the
I was
park?
gonna say that was my follow-up. Did the
Yes.
easements get taken care of?
Yes.
And that was Park District?
partially.
Okay.
That's
What do you got?
actually their paperwork's in there.
You guys gonna get that done tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, we meet tomorrow. We've had some other things come up.
Station number 3, in my research process, it looks like probably Thursday next week I'll be taking a site visit to Leroy to put eyes, ears, and ask questions about a station that they replace. It's similar to what our situation is here. I'd kind of like to talk to their operator and see what that all entails and how, you know, they've had problems, what kind of problems, whatnot. Other than that, next meeting, I think we're gonna try to, Justin's gonna be here from the Farnsworth Group to have a little talk about motor fuel tax funds for this year. My suggestion is, I would really like to put the crack ceiling to bed. In other words, I think we have enough funds to do pretty much almost all of our concrete streets if we didn't just focused on that as our MFT project for this year. I mean, it's open for discussion. Anybody else has different ideas, are more than welcome, and we can entertain and have a conversation about it. That's pretty much what I have.
Any questions for Matt?
If we crack sealed all of our streets, I'm just guessing that would be like 80 to 100,000 based on what we paid. That would be all of our motor fuel tax money for like 3 years worth.
Let's get it over with. That's what I'm looking at.
I thought it was close to 80 a year.
That would brought in like 34,000 a year.
We just got a payment from him. 3466. Tricia, do you know how often the motor fuel tax comes in?
We get it every month.
So that would be about right, okay.
Is the money, so that lasts like 3 to 5, like, we used to do it supposedly like every 3-year rotation was when we would do it. And I agree it's something that needs to be done, but that would, like, in 3 years, we would have that much money to just do that again, and that would be like all of our motor fuel tax money again.
I think at that point, we need to, you know, there's other projects I'd really like to do probably ahead of that. I'd really like to see some oil and chip it done.
I agree, and I think some of those things are, I don't know, at least I would prioritize some other things along with that.
You know, that's what I'm saying, it's open to suggestion. What I mean by that is, can we do something in the nature of a 50-50 split? Let's get a little bit of both of it done. I mean, I'm definitely open to that idea as well, because we definitely have some streets that haven't been oiled and chipped in my tenure here, and that's, 5 working on 6 years. So.
And if we're gonna, like, if we were to spend $80,000 to $100,000 on sealing the cracks, like, at that point, how much does it cost to buy a new machine? And then maybe my understanding is wrong, but like, I think that we could buy the materials for far less and do it ourselves for significantly less. Is that?
I haven't researched that avenue, so I can't say yes and I can't say no.
Okay.
All right, that would give us some longevity.
Is there any other, besides the crack ceiling or maybe the rock and chip, is there any other pressing issues when it comes to making our new motor fuel tax resolution that anybody can think of?
We had several places last year that we looked at of fixing streets, specifically like down by the grade school, a couple places around up on the square. I don't think those should be abandoned, specifically the one by the grade school.
Which one was that?
I believe it's out on the front side of the grade school, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
No, it's out the back, like in the intersection between the grade school.
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. That would be the southeast corner.
Southeast.
Yeah.
Southeast corner of the north side of the
On
building.
Jefferson and Garden.
And I don't even know that we need to like have a
Right
motor
next
fuel
door to
tax,
the-
like, I know we fixed one of those before, but like, I'm totally in favor of just going down there, cutting it up, whatever we need to fix it, and.
At that point, determine whether we want to use MFT funds for it. I mean, if you add it into the program, that gives you the flexibility to use MFT funds for it. I mean, you can throw all kinds of things in there and spread that money apart. You don't necessarily have to use MFT funds to do it.
Right.
But if you've added into your MFT program, you know, okay, say we put down there, okay, we put crack sealing down, we put oiling and chipping down, we put catch basin repair, which is what you're talking about, because it's out in the intersection. Say you only do crack sealing and catch basin repairs, or say you see it's there in case you want to use it. Is that a fair enough assessment?
Yes.
I would definitely make that recommendation to Justin in putting together. And anything else anybody should come up with between now and then, get ahold of me. can
We usually
adjust it.
do that in June, don't we?
It's usually in May.
Does he want to do it
Late May.
next week? Or next meeting? He's
I
probably
mean,
wanting-
June's acceptable, I do believe. But
Well,
we're
the
normally
sooner you
doing
get
the
it in, the
planning
sooner you'll
phases
get
in
back
May.
from the state, and the sooner you can start the work.
Pardon?
I said the sooner you get it done, the
Yes.
sooner it gets to the state, the sooner they
Yes.
get it back, the sooner you can start the
Sooner
work.
you can start planning the work out, that's correct.
I misspoke. We have 160,000 in MFT right now. So we have like 5 years.
Okay? Alright, so we need to make sure we put that on the agenda, motor fuel tax. Justin will be here to present. Matt seems to know a couple things he's gonna add to the resolution. If, if we wanna add more, now's the time to do it, so. Okay, anything else for Matt? Tricia?
Alls I have is the deposits since the last meeting, 26,722.05. That does include the motor fuel tax and the business district tax for May.
Any questions for Tricia? Moving on to old business, the Logan County Economic Development Partnership contribution request. That was tabled at the last meeting. I believe in the minutes it speaks about Tim's dissent and how he was going to, said something about you were gonna try to get a hold of some other communities that didn't use him.
That didn't pay his contribution or whatever it was termed, so, my understanding, City of Lincoln's not paying them even though they are apparently a member of it, so,
That's what Goodman said. They're not.
so. It's one of those things where nobody else is, contributing money, so I don't find it, I find it that, well, why should we, so.
But when his two biggest supporters aren't supporting him anymore. And I tried to do some research on the group itself, and there's no information out there. It's like there's no idea of what they're going, plans, or what they want to incorporate, or, when you look for them on the internet, all you find out is all the stories, all the bad stories.
Right.
Yeah, other than that, and then
Yeah.
there's this federal grand jury subpoena that's been surrounding the Atlanta Public Library and the building he owns, so, and that just recently surfaced, so there's a lot of uncertainty, to say the least, so. Anyway, that's my position.
Okay. Well, if no one's ready to make a motion at this time, we will drop this from the fall, agendas coming up, and I will let Bill Thomas know that at this time, we are not ready to give a contribution.
And it probably needs to be removed from the payables list from this month.
Yes, I will, do not sign that check. Okay, that's how we will move forward with that. Fiscal year 2019 budget. Where are we at with it? Are the changes been made? Is it ready to approve?
I haven't received requests for any changes, so
I believe we,
say as it was presented in April.
I believe we gave the time last time to give Dan and Darren a chance to look at it. Is there any questions or red flags? I mean, I know it's a lot of information to get right at once, and I mean, you'll start to understand it the more you look at it. I mean,
And it's not something that's like concrete, it's a
Right.
guideline, it's a budget, it's,
Right? Okay.
It's an estimate, if I'm not
it's an
mistaken.
estimate, yeah, it's
Right, I mean, it's usually based off years past.
years
Performance
past and things that we know that may be coming up.
Right. Yeah, that's how I
So
feel.
nobody's gonna say it's in the budget and that's why we're buying something either by the same token, if it's
Not
just an estimate?
normally, not normally, no.
Okay, because that argument's been presented before, so.
Yes, it has. I believe that Matt is aware that you don't have to use the whole budget, correct?
That's correct.
That it does carry over, so as long as our employees know that.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about, large, big ticket items as opposed to the routine stuff.
Yes, no, I agree.
Are you referring to the lump sum payment?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the budget?
Should we adopt the budget this month?
I would entertain a motion to adopt the budget as presented by Tricia.
I would make a motion to adopt the budget.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The budget will be on file at City Hall for 30 days for the public to inspect at their convenience, and then we will appropriate accordingly to the county from there. Water loan lump sum payment. That was on the agenda at the last meeting and it was voted to table. That is open for discussion. I believe Tim had something he kind of put together for, did you make a second copy?
Yeah. I've been looking at the financial statements for a little while and trying to come up with the best way to look at it. It appears that with the changing in accounting systems of the past year, that some things were left off and some things were not done, resulting in the auditors having some confusion of getting our beginning balances to tie out. So when these adjusting entries, when they got everything squared away, it changed our financial statements significantly. And there was some uncertainty as to the reliableness of the financial statements as a result, since these amount swings were such great change from what we were seeing before. That being said, it was my conclusion that due to the general fund from the water sewer fund did not get transitioned to our books. That was the biggest ticket item, along with some items that were not coded properly. All these errors, I believe, have been rectified going forward. So, trying to determine what our present situation is, mainly it was arrived at looking at the balance sheet accounts, which is basically the checking accounts, and then taking into account the current due to and due from, since we now, at least in my opinion, they are reliable. And what you have in front of you is just a copy of the latest financial statement balance sheet for the biggest of funds, which is obviously the general fund, and I just combined it because that's how the auditors look at the water and sewer fund balances. So these numbers are looking pretty good for our financial position. And at the present time, I do not have any recommendations about moving any money. And the reason that I'm at that conclusion is that we have a lot of ongoing projects, such as the North Water Main extension, the finishing of the Forest Sewer Main. You know, we just had another $60,000 with the conclusion that boring under the railroad is the best way forward. That's kind of an unforeseen expense. Presently, we have Lift Station 3 on Spring Street, which is on its last legs. And in my mind, it's advantageous to go ahead and do the full renovation of it, since that lift station's been in service since the city built the sewer infrastructure in 1960, and I believe it's a 40-year lifespan, service expectancy. here we are, year 60, so I don't think it's really advantageous for us to spend money and doing a Band-Aid on that. In addition, there's the need of new water meters across town that we need to address piecemeal too. So with all these uncertainties and no particular research done on how we're going to pay for all this stuff, I kind of pause before moving any money between the accounts. I know there's one argument that we're using the government money to offset the water sewer operations. That being said, the city has had a carryover of due from the water sewer for going on 10 years and probably longer. I just went back 10 years of the audit statements and it's there continually. That being said, I don't think that it would hurt us to go ahead another year while we get all these projects squared away, and then at that time we can even up all the funds and get back to ideally zero, which I think is where we would like to be. But at the present time, with all these irons in the fire of these significant projects, it's just my judgment that we should hold our position until we get all those financing of these projects squared away. So again, that's just my 2 cents.
I appreciate your input, Tim. I would caution grouping the water and sewer together. Like, we've always kept them separate, and I think that's how they should maintain. If we want to discuss that more, we can, but they're, in my mind, they're separate funds, and we use them separately for the different, for water and for sewer.
You know, I'm okay with that. This was just to do a quick overview.
Yep, so the sewer fund, I agree, it has several expenses, and that one I'm worried about. But the water fund, the current balance of about $360,000 is, in my mind, totally capable of paying the extra $50,000 to the loan, and that's what I would recommend. I don't know, we can debate it. I would make a motion that we go ahead and pay the extra $50,000 on the water tower loan out of the water fund.
Motion made.
Is there any questions on what the balances are and?
Yeah, I'm coming into this blind.
Right. All right, so the current water fund has $360,000 in it. The debts from that, it owes the general fund $41,000. We have a loan for the water tower repair, and last year we budgeted to pay an extra $100,000 this year on the water tower. So we said that we would just knock that in half and pay an extra $50,000 on it. So even on top of that, you know, we pay back the general fund and we pay the water, extra on the water tower, we'll still have $270,000 in the bank.
So you're saying 50 would go to the actual loan payment and 50 would go back to general fund? Right? Is that right?
Only 40 would go back to the general fund.
And this is out of order. Tim, can you restate in layman's your whole side of that, please?
From what I've gathered is that, of an overview, we have the government operations and what the auditors and general accountants call the enterprise funds. The water sewer fund is an enterprise fund. The auditors every year refer to the water sewer as one account. And my only understanding is that that's what just makes their life easier. That being said, that's why I kind of group them together. Andrew's right that if you segregate them in there, that you have $358,000 in it. That being said, that money is not necessarily precluded to help offset the sewer projects that we have going on. And from that standpoint, I hesitate using that money. Why should we pay down stuff and then turn around and borrow money, or we could use it against these outstanding projects? Because at the end of the day, it's one and the same operation. But that, again, that's just my 2 cents.
Are we allowed to use money from the water fund on sewer projects?
Yes. Yes, because it's an enterprise fund.
We've been told otherwise in the past.
We have been.
Bye.
Then why does the auditors always group it together? Enterprise funds is a separate business unit.
My guessing, and I have no factual data to support this, is that their main purpose is to audit our governmental funds, and in the process, they also look at our enterprise funds, but they're kind of like second, they don't care so much.
So I mean, yeah, because an enterprise fund, you can use the money anywhere. Because it's not government related. It's from your ongoing, enterprise or business operations, and that's what essentially the, water sewer utility operation is. It's no different than Ameren. So it's kind of a secondary operation that we have here.
It's more our money.
Exactly, that we can do as we please. If we want to use it to fix the streets, we can fix the streets with it. But in my mind, I lean towards not moving any money right now until we square away just how we want to finance these ongoing projects. And we got 4 of them. Now, if the situation was we didn't have those going on, I would agree with Andrew. Let's get this stuff paid off and paid back to the funds. But right now, it doesn't seem very logical, at least in my mind, to do some juggling around if we don't know what the true expenditures or even a realistic expectation of what these ongoing project costs are going to be.
Excuse me.
Tricia, any input?
My only thing, I mean, for separating the water and sewer, I think why they're separated, because you have a amount on your bill for sewer and an amount on there for water. And I think that's probably why they try to keep those projects separate, so you can see, you know, the money going in, the money going out.
Justification of the rates and stuff.
Yes, I think that's why they like to keep them separate, so you can see what's going in and out of each of those. So you, like you said, you can justify those rates. As far as, you know, whether to move money around, I agree with Tim to the point where if there's all these things going on, we kinda need to have a big picture about what's coming up in the next year. And then deciding, you know, how to pay things back or to move the money. Obviously, right now, the general fund is okay, but in 6 months, it may not be okay. And we may be forced to pay them back from, you know, the enterprise funds. So it's just one of those things that we may just have to kind of look at the projection out to see if we don't pay it back, is our general fund eventually gonna get to a bad spot?
Separate to the payment on the loan, we do owe the general fund money out of both funds.
Yes.
And like Tim says, there was a balance for the last 10 years. Prior to that 10 years, there was not a balance. So the funds started going down, 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 down. It crossed negative. There wasn't any corrections made. Last year, we did pay off the general fund because we were told that we were legally obligated to. And I believe that to still be true, so.
That was my understanding, that by the end of the fiscal year, you should shore up to,
Yeah, and we don't operate out of the general fund. We write checks out of the general fund, and then, like, if it was a check for water stuff, then we transfer money from the water to the general fund to pay it back. And these have accumulated up
times
and they
that
haven't
it
been
hasn't happened
moved back.
properly, yes.
So I think regardless, we need to pay the general fund back in the fiscal year because we're legally obligated to. You're right, that will certainly leave the sewer fund in a tough spot. It has 110,000 now, and it owes the sewer fund
If
100,000.
that's the case, why hasn't the auditors, when they come and present the audit, have made that a big issue? And it's been out there for 10 years. I'm kind of confused.
If you can find a place in the law that says it's okay to do this, fine, but I'm operating.
Well, I challenge you the same way.
That
Whatever you want.
came from Crystal Kern. We took her professional opinion with what we did. She said that it had to be paid back within the fiscal year. I, for one, would like to see it paid back in the fiscal year just because. That way we know we're in the right spot. We know where we're at the beginning of every budget meeting. But, I mean, if we don't have to, that doesn't mean we don't, you know? The motion's out. We have not received a second.
I'll second to make the lump sum payment.
Is there any further discussion?
I mean, because essentially it's not the end all be all. If something were to arise, the money is still available from the other funds, right?
Yeah.
Well, you'll be using governmental money to pay
Be back in
the,
the same spot, but.
yeah, to me, you just kind of leave it until the projects are squared away, but that's just my opinion, so.
I don't think the world's gonna end either way. Let's just pay the debt and get everything back to even.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Emmerich,
No.
Maxheimer,
No.
Neville,
Yes.
Phillips,
No.
Schmuck.
Yes.
Motion fails.
So that was on the lump sum payment. I'd also like to address the paying back of the general fund from the water fund. So the water fund owes the general
That's
fund.
what the whole
41.
motion was, wasn't
The
it?
motion was for the lump sum payment on the principal for the water
Okay.
tower loan.
Stand corrected.
What were you saying? Andrew, go ahead, finish, please.
I think we should certainly pay back the general fund. I for one would like to see it done before the end of the fiscal year. If it's true that we can spend governmental funds on water and sewer projects and we need money, then we can just borrow it again next year and it's just a transfer from an account. I don't know that needs to be a motion, but if you disagree, we can,
I don't think it needs to be, no. We can put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Reconcile.
Do we need to vote on that? I mean,
I don't think so. Well, I would like to because it seems that there's a discrepancy of whether or not we're required to. I mean, it's my opinion, whether we're required to or not, it's my opinion that we should, but that might not necessarily be the opinion of the other aldermen. As the governing body, I believe it's up to the aldermen to make that call.
It hasn't been a problem for 10 years at least, so that's
it
where
was a problem last year.
In what way? Just, I don't know what you're talking about.
We were advised by our accountant, which we took her professional opinion very seriously, to pay back the general fund the money that was taken out to finance the force main project. It was in the amount of about $100,000.
Rick Bully also strongly.
Rick Boley also strongly advised that, yes.
As did, I think, Glenn at the time.
There's someplace we can go to get this ironed out. Who would know?
Yeah, this isn't an issue that I've been asked to look at yet. I mean, I can if you guys want me to, but I typically defer on accounting stuff to the accountants.
I don't even know that we wanna spend money to get the answer figured out. I think it's
worth it.
I would like him to be right. That's just my personal opinion. That's just one less line we have to have. Due from, due to.
Well, yeah, that's the ideal, but until we get this stuff squared away,
Well, we'll have to look into it. Kelly, please put it on the agenda, reconciling the accounts. I believe it was on there before, but we did not take any action on it, like maybe in the late March or early April meeting. Okay, moving on to new business. Business district appropriation, did you get that sheet? These are the current grants that have been approved by the Economic Development and Planning Board. One for the Farmer's Family Restaurant for $2,900. They previously applied, they're going to re-asphalt their parking lot. They previously applied for $1,000 to pay for the rock. That was approved. They have since reapplied to ask for that half the cost of doing the entire project, which the Economic Development Board thought was fair. So $2,900 to the Farmer's Family Restaurant. On the second item, they're kind of grouped together, but the Economic Development Board, the EDP Board has advised us to appropriate $5,000 for marketing and advertising for these three events: the Second Fridays downtown, the Christmas on Vinegar Hill, and the launch of the new food co-op, which we're hoping to get up by the end of the year, early next year. They have enlisted the services of a lady by the name of Ashley Sang. She has done just a small amount of work. I think he said he got the bill for some Vinegar Hill work and the food, or not Vinegar Hill, Christmas on Vinegar Hill, for the food co-op and the second Fridays downtown, and I think the bill was for like $600. They advised that the council allow up to $5,000 for marketing and advertising and kind of put a cap at that, and that's to promote these three events. Well, just really the events would be the Friday downtown, the second Fridays downtown, the Christmas on Vinegar Hill, and then the food co-op is a launch of a new business. Several instances to where that falls under our plan. And Logan County Tourism for $1,000. I believe I talked to Tom Martin today, and the way he explained it was that with the launch of the new visitor center that we've been talking about for several months now, the three communities that were interested in it went to the Logan County Tourism Board and asked for $8,500. They said that they would only be able to afford $4,500. So each community is being asked to put in $1,000 of their own money to get this thing off the ground. So that would be for the launch of the visitor center, yes, which is going to be located at the Historical Society. Any questions on those?
What,
Okay, so in 2017, we created a business district. We were able to raise the sales tax 1% in certain areas of the town. That money comes in every month. It would, like this was the line item right here, $6,078 for the deposit. That money can only be spent on our business development and redevelopment plan. Basically, we have goals in mind of how to increase our tax base, grow our businesses, kind of grow our town in a general way, as is our responsibility. The Economic Development and Planning Board has kind of taken what their role is in this is they kind of look into it a little bit deeper than we do. They go through the grants that are applied for. There's a grant application. All these guys applied for a grant through the Economic Development and Planning Board. They're the ones that kind of do the legwork and decide yay or nay on whether or not it's a good idea to appropriate that money for that reason or not. This is what they have recommended we appropriate our business district money for at this time. I believe we still have about $80,000 sitting in there. That's usually about what the average balance is. It's about 100. We figure it's going to be about 100 a year. But since it is from the business district sales tax increase that was implemented, it has to be approved by the city council.
Thank you for that. I was just asking about the welcoming center.
Oh, sorry.
That was very good.
They started that. Bill Thomas, who from the Logan County Economic Development Partnership, came to us and talked about getting a tourist center. The idea for the Welcome Center is to have each town has its own location, and then what it's going to be. I think there's going to be like a TV in there, and there's going to be flyers from all over the county. So the goal is that if one visitor comes to any of the towns, they're able to see what the county can offer, and kind of just try to get people to other towns just besides your town. I think is the kind of the idea of it.
That's nice. All right.
There's a sign. They've already got the sign made. I think they're going to put a sign on 121. We're still in the middle of talking about signs. The goal is to have it up and running by June 1. But Logan County Tourism was gracious enough to give us $4,500. Gracious meaning that they're sometimes not very good at giving out money for tourism, even for a tourist welcoming center. But like I said, for the whole plan for the three communities, it was short about $3,000. So each community is trying to put in $1,000. Since that falls under our plan, we can use business district money for that and not take it out of the general fund.
Got it.
And what I understand is if they're not open over there, we don't have a volunteer to staff it, there'll be something there in the window that people can still look and see what is out there and what's.
I believe so, because you guys are only open a couple days a week, yes.
Right. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
The TV will be in the window so everybody can see
Right.
the,
So they can, I don't know how that to be set up. That's the plan.
it's above my skill level, so.
I would make a motion to approve these appointments, appropriations.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. JM letter of engagement, we were giving a new letter of engagement on May 2nd. It's just basically a renewal of services that is effective June 1. It's the same services that they will be offering us at the same price. The price did not go up, same services. So, I don't know if we want to try to look elsewhere for that service, or if we want to go ahead and reinitiate this engagement with JM Abbott's.
What kind of time frame do they need an answer?
It says effective June 1. I don't know.
That doesn't lock us in for a year though, right?
I do not believe so. Let me
So
double check.
anytime we can find something else.
I believe, I looked at it the last time we did it, we had to give them 60 days notice. No, it does not lock us in. It's in here.
It
So.
just is an acknowledgement of their rates, it's kind of how is that fair summary of that?
What's that?
That just is an acknowledgement that of
Of
their
their-
rates.
yes, of
kind
their
a
duties.
month-to-month type thing with the 60-day notice. If
Yep.
I'm-
Confirming the nature and limitations of the services that they will provide to us. I think it's I'm pretty sure it's 60 days.
I'll make a motion to continue with Abbott's.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Just for, I don't know if Tim was aware, and Darren, we switched accountants last March or April. They've been doing it for about a year now, because I'm assuming they bring us up every year. I called about 4 different people to give us quotes, and they were the only ones that responded. So, the search for an accountant can be frustrating sometimes, but at the same time, it's definitely something we cannot look in, that we can look into at any time that we need to, so. E3I Ventures, DBA Extreme Fireworks. The only thing I know about this is the email. I don't-
All that neighborhood.
So every year, they wanna sell fireworks out there. If they're gonna sell in Illinois, they have to have permission from the town that says they can do that. There's no business license needed, or anything like that, we just need to approve. And if we approve, we send them a letter saying the council approved you setting up, and they're good to go. I haven't had any complaints about them, I think
Is
it's a
this
good
the
thing.
same company that's done it in the past? Okay. I also have not had any complaints about it. I think that a lot of people in town actually enjoy having a fireworks stand out there,
Yeah.
so
It's not much, but it's something.
I think it's just a matter to resolve in the form of a motion and vote.
I'll motion to accept.
Motion by Darren, is there a second?
Second.
By Dan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. MR Systems wireless quote is already done. Is there any other business? I do have a couple things. I was just gonna let you guys go first. One, did you guys see the letter from the railroad about wanting to put a 60-foot tower at that location? I didn't want to print off maps, but it's right there by the, if you want to pass that around, it's right there by the intersection on South Washington Street.
We veto this until enforcement gets approved.
There you go.
I was gonna look into that. I don't know if we can say yay or nay. I think that, just like anything else, they have to inform us and give us the opportunity to speak our opinion on it.
Yeah, I don't think they're.
If they're, I mean, they're not gonna care if we don't want it or not.
We can set an ordinance for no towers can be constructed in town
Along the railroad.
Over 60 foot,
near the railroad.
Over 40 foot.
we'll just tear down the
No more
tower
gas
and the
on the fire,
elevator.
please.
No more elevators in Pulaski.
Well, it's grandfathered in.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we grandfathered.
Yes or no? And that's just something to make sure they don't tear down something historical or mess with something
Yes,
historical.
there, what was, does it say in there what the historic value was? Impact, it doesn't say what property might have historic impact, or impact to historic
Isn't that
properties.
close to the Wright brothers where they landed? No, I'm just.
Yes, it is.
It is, right around that corner. On the curve.
So, I mean, they're doing their due diligence by law, as I'm passing this information on to you. I'll have Paula send out a mass email letting the citizens of town know as well.
Do we wanna have any kind of response to them, or?
We can definitely prepare one if you would like.
Tell the public to pass their unhappiness along to them, not to the city, so they don't have a choice. Put that in a letter.
Or you like the plague.
What's that?
They'll ignore you like the plague.
So just going behind that, if we do that, is it behind the antique shop there?
I believe that's what it looks like where it is, yes.
Looks like it's in the parking lot next to it. Like where the old depot used to be.
Next to the substation.
They're also gonna put another one down 121, pretty close to where the old cow plant used to be as
It's about his
well.
backyard.
It's on another
He
map,
probably
but I didn't
owns
print
it.
that map off, because I don't think we have any say about that. I'm sure they've contacted the county.
Communications.
Yeah, permit.
Oh, I don't know what to say that is.
I could pick, you get a copy of it now?
The tower.
Yes, I did.
Mast tower, the tower, it doesn't say what it's gonna be.
The email subject is railroad communication towers.
So that's just more of a matter of information. We can follow up on it if we need to. Economic Development Resources Letter of Engagement, that was passed. That was resolved a couple of months ago to go ahead and move forward with the professional services of EDR to begin the TIF extension. Those letters have since came and been returned, just giving everyone an update on that. I did want to mention one thing. I went to the grade school yesterday. The FBI, two FBI agents from the Springfield field office were there presenting an award to the STEM class. Science, technology, engineering, and math. It was an internet safety course that he was trying to explain it to me. I'm gonna get in contact with him because, on a certain tier of how they performed with the test, it was a national award, it was a national competition, and Pulaski finished first. From what the conversation I gained from him, there was over 100,000 applicants on this competition. Definitely deserves some honor and recognition, so we'll be looking to recognize them for that formally here in the near future. My last thing I had was I've been contacted by the couple members of the Athletic Association about Fraser Park in concerns to the pole where the transformer is that's leaning. Looks like it's gonna fall into center field at any time. Ameren is aware of it. They've got an orange flag around it, so apparently there's a work order. There's also several components in the boxes by the meter that need either replaced or looked at by an electrician. There's some electrical issues that they've been having down there.
On that electrical stuff like that, Eaton in the past has been extremely generous if we need like electrical boxes or panels or stuff like that. They're willing to donate stuff like that. So if you have equipment or something, we could probably get it donated, especially to the park.
I will definitely let them know. There's a couple lights in the outfield that aren't working. I talked to Matt, that we won't reach, can we reach the infield lights?
We could probably get to the two poles on the infield.
They thought the infield was the most important for now, but our boom truck isn't big enough to get to
But
the outfield
I also
lights.
talked to, in this conversation with Paula, Mike's retired from Ameren and has access to a bucket truck, her husband Mike Folkham. And he said that, you know, obviously for minimal cost and make sure it's dry out there, to get a truck out there, he would do that work.
They've been in contact with Don Maxheimer as well,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
we'll let them, if they wanna speak with Don, we'll let them coordinate that, so.
Fair enough.
That's more informational. You know, there's obviously gonna be a cost associated with that. I think we gave them a fair amount of money to redo the new roof. Put siding up and did some work down there in the bathrooms this winter. That came out of the business district fund to kind of improve the park down there. I think it says in the contract that the city will pay up to $500 a year for general maintenance. I think that would fall under this. If they would like to ask for more, obviously there's grants available, because seeing as how that's a city-owned park, any improvements we make to it definitely fall under our business development and redevelopment plan. So, look to hear more, putting a bug in everyone's ear, that might be something coming up to discuss here shortly. And that is all I had for other business.
I have one question, if this is not the appropriate time, let me know. With Greg, did we come to a conclusion last about the portable structure and the garage size thing?
Not totally, I mean, I think,
We're gonna tell him that it's gotta be 5 foot.
and I'll tell you what, he's already well into the construction down there on the side of his house. He's got new roof, the siding's tore off on the west side. He's got a truck back in there, and the reason he wanted the 3 rather than the 5 was the cost and the size of what he wanted to put in. And I know, I just drove by there before I came here, and I know if I go down and talk to him, he's gonna say, I already got all that stuff bought. Or we're gonna get hit. So, I guess we can.
I would still advise you to tell him anyways.
Okay,
I mean, if he's gonna make this a portable structure just because he wants to not pay taxes on it, and then he's gonna tell us that he doesn't have to follow our setbacks, he's kinda double dipping there.
all right.
He should at least have some leeway on some of it,
Well, I just drove down there before I came here, so.
so.
Do we wanna change our ordinances based on what a portable structure is, and, like, cause we have nothing in there for that?
We had that meeting last night, there was good dialogue, no concrete decision was made what we need to do. I mean, ultimately, if the ordinances are gonna be changed, that has to be done by an alderman.
Right.
You know, so, if someone wants to work with Greg and write up some ordinances, I know Jordan can be a very good use when it comes to writing ordinances. He can make sure the wording is correct and the verbiage is correct. But if that's something we wanna pursue to make Greg's life easier, we definitely can. It's just a matter of sitting down on a computer and typing it up.
Well, I've got some answers to some other questions to get, like on the propane tanks and, on some of these dangerous buildings, so I'm gonna find out who's paying taxes, so. I'd like to get everything kinda together all at once, I don't know if any of those will interconnect, but I'll go ahead and call him and tell him that needs to be 5 foot. I'll call him tomorrow. And we do need, I think square footage is probably a good way to go. I don't know if I can work with, I've been working with Andrew in the past. Andrew doesn't have a problem. There's awful quiet.
I don't have a problem, no.
If you do, that beats my health, that's fine.
No, we don't.
Time-wise,
Best thing to do is just, like Doug and Tony have told us before, look at, communities similar to ours and see if they have anything, and what we think, if we think that they're, the way they word it and coded it, would apply to us or not.
all right.
Any other business? Any public comments on the 9 agenda items?
I didn't get signed in, so you're a little.
Well, there's nothing on the agenda pertaining to what you're probably going to talk about. You absolutely have the right to comment on any non-agenda items, and that includes probably Bates Road. So it's okay with me if you didn't sign in, Foxy. If you would like to speak,
Okay.
you're more than welcome.
I have a couple of comments. I passed out another sheet, additional thing. In my original letter, I said that if a road was maintained for 15 years, that it was, became a road. I was wrong. It's actually, if a road has been used for the public by more than 15 years, it becomes a road, it becomes a highway under the state highway code. That road has been used by the public since at least the 1950s. Because I was out with my dad when we brought junk out there and dumped in Fred Holmes' junkyard. Furthermore, I worked for Fred Holmes from off and on for about 10 years, from 1967 on. It was used by the public. It was not just strictly used by the private individuals out there. There was continual traffic out to Fred's lot, either dumping junk or buying tile or pipe or whatever.
Who maintained the road then?
Pardon me?
Who maintained the road then?
I'm not sure. I don't think, nobody, I think, or Fred, or who, the residents, I think maybe did.
Right, okay.
At the time I was there was a fertilizer plant there.
And they maintained the road,
They
correct?
may have maintained the road too. So I'm a little fuzzy on who
Right,
was
okay.
maintained,
Okay.
you know.
That was
don't
just a
know
quick
for
question.
sure.
Sorry to interrupt. Continue, please.
Okay. As far as I'm concerned, the city took it over when they took it over with their minutes. Okay, but let's go on beyond that. I have another question that is kind of hit me. What provoked all the discussion about this? Where did this come from? I know Gary Milam says that he owns owns all that property. And, okay, really, to my opinion, so what? He owns that property. He really can't do anything with that property except sell it. So my question is, did he come to the city and say, I don't want you guys maintaining the road? Did somebody else go out there and ask him, do you want us maintaining the road? Where did all of this start? Because it's been maintained for the past 15 years, and all of a sudden, last fall, we're told we're not gonna maintain the road anymore. So, where did all this come from?
We have reason to believe that we don't have jurisdiction over the road, and that's why we're following up on it. That's all I can say. That's the best answer I can give you. We're gonna make sure that we know whether or not it's our responsibility to maintain before we move forward with it. Whether that includes title searches, talking to IDOT, talking with the county, because I've been told two different things. I've been told by you that it's our job to maintain it, and I've been told by Gary it's not our job to maintain it. So I wanna make sure that we do it right. And if that takes time, then that takes time.
Okay.
That's
well,
the best answer I can give you.
It's been dragging on for, what, 9 months or so now, and we still don't seem to have any answers. And all I can do is tell you what my experience is and what I've been told for years that the situation is. And I don't know where Milam is coming from and saying that does he not want you to maintain it?
He believes that it's his property and that it's not a city street. Whether or not it's public and you're allowed to drive on it doesn't necessarily, just because it's a public highway doesn't mean that it's our job to maintain it. He never said anything about us not maintaining it. He said he didn't care if we did, but he didn't want to bill because it's his road.
Then what's the problem?
The problem is that if it's not our responsibility and we don't have the jurisdiction to do it, we're not gonna do it. We're gonna find that out the correct way, and then we're gonna move forward. If it's not ours, then it's gonna be up to whoever else, probably not the city, to maintain it. If it is under our jurisdiction and our responsibility, we will maintain it. But we're not gonna kick the can down the road and have a council meeting minutes where we just agree in a back room that, yeah, we'll just start taking care of that from here on out. That's the way we've decided to move forward with it. It's best advice, best scenario
Okay.
I can give you, Fox.
Okay, are you wanting a judge or somebody to tell you to take care of the road?
If we're court ordered, I think that we have no choice.
You're right. Okay, it looks to me like you're wanting us to bring a lawsuit against the city to maintain this road, so you guys get told to take care of the road, and you're off the hook.
Off the hook's a bad word. I'm not trying to get off the hook of maintaining it. I just wanna make sure that it's correct.
Well, didn't Jake Collier come to one of the meetings, or a couple of them, and he was, I mean, has the property, the old Horn property up there, and he, I think, initially came,
Yes, he did.
right?
You may have been, yes.
There were requests before that to fill some potholes out there.
Right, and I think Jake was the one that came and talked with us about that.
After the potholes did not get filled. Yes.
Right, there was a problem there, and that's been when the Milam came into the picture, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
And has he since acknowledged that the road's on his property in that meeting? That's what I recall off the top of my head, you know, that's been a day or two, obviously, but,
Gary Milam does not own the property.
He's in a contract for deed with it.
on the north side of the tracks?
The
Yes.
entire, whatever he has control over is not, he is not the
Okay.
owner of it.
North side of the track.
Right.
Yeah, north side of the tracks.
Okay.
Does he have property on the south side?
No.
Okay.
Jake
Jake
actually
would have
owns,
that.
the road is actually on Jake's property.
Right,
On the south side,
On
if
the
I'm
On the
not
south side of the
mistaken.
tracks.
right.
So,
And nobody has disputed, Jake and I have not disputed anything that Milam has said about owning that road.
Mhm.
We're not disputing that. Okay, we're just saying that the city took it over, the city made certain improvements, and it becomes the city's maintenance. And that's where we're coming from.
I just have a concern of the city maintaining private property road. And then if somebody hits a pothole and the car gets damaged, just like they do on Spring Street, is the city liable or is Jake liable?
Well, all I can say going back to that is that the township does not own any roads. Oh, excuse me, we own some roads in Lake Fork and a couple subdivisions. The rest of all of our roads, we do not own. The property owners own to the middle of the road. It's their property. We have a right-of-way easement through it that takes care of it. We have jurisdiction over that right-of-way to the point where we can actually go after them if they trespass on our right-of-way. So as to, it being on property, it's all over the world. Actually, the city does have a couple spots. I believe if you go on out here on the other side of Route 54, east of Chestnut Street, down to that first house, that's actually city property. I tend to seal code it as I come through and maintain it, but that's beside the point. But that property is owned by the landowners on both sides. I'm not sure about Lip Road going out here to Lips, because when the city took that over, it was a township road in the same circumstance, same situation. The landowners own to the middle of the road, there's a right of way, and they take care of it. There's two or three, I can find
And
all
there's no
kinds of.
jurisdictional paperwork transferring that?
I don't think so. From the city, when the city took over Lip Road, that was an annexation. As far as I know, there was nothing done. I was kind of surprised they didn't come and say something, because they annexed the worst stretch of road out there, but that's not my problem. I don't know about that, Tim, but there was nothing done back then. I know that. There was no jurisdictional transfer. I don't believe that the landowners signed off on anything. It's just, they took over the road. They annexed the property, so they took over the road with them.
So again, what's Milam's stance on all of this? What's Milam's stance on all this?
I haven't really talked to Milo about it. Jake has talked to him. Jake said that he doesn't care if the city maintains it, he's just not gonna pay for anything.
So he doesn't care if
Hmm?
it gets torn up.
He what?
He doesn't care if it's full of holes all the way down the road.
No, well, he actually built some holes on his own. But, south of, just to his area,
Right.
south of there's holes that, you can't drive down there, guys, without hitting a hole now.
That's another concern I have of mine, with his trucks, he bought that property to have his trucks there. He's an over-the-road truck driver, he's gone a lot. I know he's told me right out of his own mouth that he comes in loaded, at the end of a weekend. So it's gonna be hard for the city to take jurisdiction and maintain a road and allow him to drive an 80,000-pound truck on a city road when it's not allowed anywhere else. So we get a black eye either way. So it's either our road, we maintain it, but we cannot allow him to drive an 80,000-pound semi on it, or it's not our road, we don't have the jurisdiction, and unfortunately, you're stuck with the bad end of the stick. What's everybody's thoughts on that? What's everybody's thoughts about him driving the 80,000-pound semis on that road? And probably the reason that it's in disrepair, and if we start maintaining it, with no jurisdictional certainty, then we're allowing someone to break our rules while we maintain the road.
And I think we're forced to not allow it then.
Right.
Because otherwise, it's a free-for-all in town.
Is there an alternate way he can take to avoid the road?
There is another driveway coming off of it from, like right by the under the overpass, 54 overpass. There is a road. It's kind of more dirt than anything else. I mean, it's not as nice of a roadway as, contract for deed, yes.
Where are you at with your research, Jordan?
Still investigating.
And any time frames that you expect to have any conclusions?
I've got some proposals for the city council here we can discuss in executive session,
Okay.
to try to move that ball forward and bring some other resources to bear to try to get an answer more definitively.
What is the total cost to maintain that road, to fill potholes? I mean, basically, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Couple truckloads of rock a year? Oh, rock.
What's a truckload of rock?
250, probably 250, well, that's per truckload. You're probably talking maybe $1,000. That's my guess, and if Matt has any comment.
You're pretty close there.
It's rock from the railroad track south, but it's paved. Railroad
Nothing
tracks
is
north.
paved, nothing actually is paved out there anymore. It's all basically going down to a gravel road. And I'm not speaking for Jake, but I think we both have the same feeling that if we get the holes full of rock and the snow plowed, that's all we care about.
Right, because you've lived there for 20 years and dealt with the road.
Yeah, it's not, it was blacktop when I moved out there, they oiled and chipped it the next year. And quite frankly, they didn't do any they did not do any base improvements, they just leveled it off and oiled it. I mean, they really didn't build a road. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they just oiled and chipped it. They've oiled and chipped it 2 or 3 times since. The last time, the south end had gone far enough that we kind of fussed with them a little bit because originally they weren't going to do that, the north end. And we said, we don't care about the south end, just fill the holes, and that's where we're at right now. You fill the holes and plow the snow in the wintertime, we don't care. No, we're not fancy, we're living a gravel road. So,
Who plows the snow out there then? The city?
hmm,
The city plows the snow?
City used to.
They used to, not this year.
they didn't spell this year.
They did not this year.
They did all part,
Okay.
okay, yeah. And we had a mild winter and we got by without it, so.
Yeah.
Greg, do you have a comment?
There used to be a stop sign out there, and I think it's gone now. Who put this, is the stop sign gone? It was last time I looked.
Which
The
is
stop-
going to where?
The stop sign was up. The stop sign on the north end, right before
McDonald Street?
Yes. McDonald Street. Who put that stop sign up? It was put up by the city. Then it got knocked over and never replaced. So at one point in time, the city put the signs up because, okay. Curious. Yeah, because there's no stop sign there now.
Since we have new aldermen, my opinion is we can squabble about this forever. We're gonna spend a lot of money to do it. I understand we need to do it right, but I think we should just put rock in the holes.
It is pretty bad. I drove out there just to see it. There's some big holes.
Certainly we shouldn't go past the railroad tracks. But, I don't know, that's my opinion. And if we wanna make it legit, let's figure out how to make it an official road. If we need to get the property transferred over, let's do it, if that's really what we're concerned about. But I imagine there's 40 places in town under a similar situation that just haven't been discovered yet that, I don't know, that's my take.
I would like to hear what Jordan has to say.
Didn't you say that most of your stuff was for executive session?
Correct.
Well, if there's no other business, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
For how long and to discuss?
Well, this, but then, did you wanna talk about that?
Yes, yes, we can.
Right?
Yes.
So I would announce both of those.
Okay, 20 minutes to discuss possible litigation regarding Bates Road and the purchase of real estate. Did I get a second?
Yes, he did.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I'm not gonna stick around, so let me know.
I can let you know, Foxy. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I don't want to send it to your, you use your bank, right?
Matt, you wanna know something?
There was no action taken in executive session.
Yeah, of course.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Andrew, second by Joyce.
Okay, cow?
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion adjourned. Thanks for coming.
Yahoo. All right, cool. Hopefully that works. Sorry to keep everybody so long.
No,
Can I go back in the app? We're done. Stop.
Very good executive session.
What's the app?